Hey Mama, my name is Ella Dove and you are joining me at Momday Studio for a postpartum workout. But before we begin, let's recap on how you can engage and connect with your core and pelvic floor muscles using some cues that might be helpful for you to control. So to lift and engage your pelvic floor, you can imagine that you're trying to hold in a fart and then travel that engagement forward like you're trying to stop the flow of pee. You can also imagine that your pelvic floor is kind of like a diamond shape. So you have your bum at the back, the urethra at the front, and then on the two sides, you have your sit bones. And now you can imagine that you're trying to pull all four sides of that diamond together and then lifting up towards your head. You can also try placing your hand on your perineum. As you inhale, feel the pelvic floor descend into your hand. And then as you exhale, the pelvic floor is going to lift away from your hand as it contracts and lifts. Now, to activate your deep core muscles, your transverse abdominis, which is the deepest layer of your core muscles, and it wraps around your trunk, kind of like a corset muscle, pulling everything together. So to activate this muscle, you can visualize that you are trying to pull your two hip bones in towards each other. You can also imagine how you might pull in your lower belly slightly if you're trying to zip up a tight pair of jeans, zipping up from pubic bone to belly button. You can also try placing your hand on the inside of your hip bones. Inhale here and then exhale, draw in your hip bones together, and you should feel that TVA muscle harden underneath your fingers as it contracts. So throughout this workout, try to keep your pelvis and your rib cage stacked. So avoid flaring those ribs. Keep breathing throughout the exercises. This is going to really help you to manage pressure within your core, prevent your diastasis worsening. With your inhales, think about lengthening. With your exhales, think about lifting the pelvic floor, contracting that deep core muscle. And this is going to really help you to get the most out of this postpartum workout. So when you're ready, let's jump into it. For this workout, you can use a selection of weights, something that you can press up overhead and something that you can row with. And then you're also going to need a stable surface, something that you can do hip thrusts from. And when you're ready, we're going to come down to the floor for some cat-cow. So find yourself in an all fours position, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're going to inhale, drop the belly down, lift the tailbone, lift the gaze. And then exhale, reverse that. Tuck the tailbone under, rounding through lower back, mid back, upper back. Pressing the ground away through your pinky fingers. Spread those shoulder blades apart, tuck the chin. And then you're just going to flow through those two shapes, your cat and your cow, just with your own breath here. Finding as much range of motion as you can, but just staying within your limit. We really don't want to push our body into any places it doesn't want to go. But we do still want to challenge our range of motion so that we can start to improve it. Nice job. From here, you're going to tuck those toes, send your hips up, coming into a down dog, and just pedal out through the backs of the legs here, dropping one heel down and then the other heel. And then you're going to pull forward and you're going to step your right foot to the outside of your right hand, coming into this low lunge position. And then we're going to reach our arm all the way up, coming into a little thoracic rotation, thread the arm under, reach up. Thread under, exhale as you curl, and inhale as you lift. Exhale, curl, inhale, lift. Nice job. Hand down to the floor, step back to that down dog, left foot outside of the left hand, and then same thing. You can drop that back knee down to the floor. We're going to open that arm up, inhale, and exhale, curl under. Coming into a little thoracic rotation with nice hip mobility here as well. Nice job. And then we're going to come down onto our back and we're going to warm up through our glutes. We have hip thrusts in our workout today. So we're going to work on that glute activation. Inhale here and then exhale, lift pelvic floor, wrap that deep core, press your feet into the ground, lift those hips. Feel the glutes contract in this top position. And then inhale, lower down, let everything release. Pelvic floor releases. Exhale, contract and lift. Nice, feel those glutes working. Inhale, lower down, release. Nice job. Exhale. Zipping up from pubic bone to belly button, drawing in those hip bones as you lift. Inhale, lower down. Nice job. Exhale, push the feet through the floor, lift. Feel those glutes contract. Good, full extension of the hips at the top. Feel those glutes working. Nice job. And then we're gonna roll over onto our side. You're gonna have top hip stacked over bottom hip, top knee stacked over bottom knee, elbow directly underneath the shoulder. Take your inhale here. And then exhale, lifting pelvic floor, wrapping that deep core with your exhale, pressing your bottom knee into the ground. Lift those hips. Nice job. Inhale, lower down, let everything release. Exhale, everything contracts. Lift, pressing down through that bottom knee to lift those hips. Feeling the obliques working on the side of the body. Inhale, lift. Nice job. Syncing your movement with your breath. So inhale, come down, release. And then exhale, we contract and lift. Nice job. Inhale, release. We're here for 15 more seconds. Good. Inhale, release. Exhale. Lift, contract, squeeze, lift those hips, pressing down through that bottom knee and lower down. Okay, we're gonna come into an all fours position now. So wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath those hips. Inhale to prepare. Exhale to zip up from pubic bone to belly button. You're gonna hold that core contraction, lift and extend your right arm and your left leg, so opposites. Extend, extend, inhale here, try and elongate as much as you can, and then exhale, you're gonna tap hand to knee underneath the body. Inhale, extend. So avoid coming into this banana shape. We wanna think about lengthening through the spine rather than extending. Tap, exhale, and then inhale, lengthen. Nice job. Notice if you shifted your weight back towards your heels. Pull your weight forward so that you're over that left hand. Extend, extend. Nice job. Tap, hand to knee. Good. Tap, hand to knee. Inhale, extend. Good. Keeping that core really, really strong. Nice neutral spine here. Try not to wobble from side to side. Last one here, and then we're gonna place that hand down and we're gonna do the same thing over on the other side. You should feel your core working there to stabilize you. So inhale to prepare, and then exhale, zipping up from pubic bone to belly button like you're zipping up a tight pair of jeans. Extend that left arm straight out in front of you, and then pick up that right leg, nice and slow and controlled. Nothing should shift through the core. Nice job. Inhale, and then exhale. Good, really slow and controlled. We want to be really intentional with this exercise, so try not to rush. There's an old school saying that says, imagine you have a tray of cocktails on your back and try not to let any of them spill. That's how still and steady you want to be through your core. Extend. Try not to lift your foot any higher than your bum. Think about lengthening through the body. Nice job. Okay, we're gonna come onto our left side for those side bridges. So set yourself up, nice alignment, elbow under the shoulder, top hip over bottom hip, top knee over bottom knee. Take your inhale here to prepare, and then exhale. Lift, driving down through that bottom leg, lift those hips. Both hip bones shining straight forward. So not up to the sky, not down to the floor. Good job, you got it. Inhale, lower, and exhale. Nice job. So we are working circuits today. We got 3 exercises in each circuit. We got 3 circuits to get through, and we're gonna do 2 rounds of each circuit, working 45 seconds on each of the exercises. And then we have a little cool down at the end. Nice job, and lower with control. Okay, you're gonna come up onto your feet now, and we're gonna have our feet at about shoulder distance. Inhale to prepare, exhale, lift pelvic floor, wrap that deep core is turned on, and then we're gonna inhale, lower those hips back and down into a squat, and then exhale, push the ground away to come up to standing. Nice job. Keeping the rib cage stacked over the pelvis. Inhale, lower. And then exhale, push the ground away. Nice job. Inhale, we lower down, and exhale, we press. Try not to overextend those hips in this top position, keeping that rib cage and pelvis stacked. Inhale, lower. That's gonna help to manage pressure in our core correctly, to help our core heal, rather than doing the opposite and trying to press pressure where it doesn't wanna go. Good, syncing your breath with your movement. Inhale, lower, exhale, stand. Nice job. Okay, we're gonna work on hip thrust now. If you'd prefer to do a glute bridge like we did in the warm-up, then go for that. If you're with me, we're gonna place our upper mid back on your chair. Feet at hip distance here. And then you're gonna inhale to prepare, exhale. Everything lifts, press down through the feet to lift those hips, coming to a 90-degree bend at the knees. Inhale, lower down, and exhale. Lift those hips, full extension, feel those glutes contract. And then inhale, lower, keeping the chin tucked, gaze forward, lift those hips. Nice job. Inhale, release, and exhale, lift. If you want to place a weight on your hips to make this more challenging, go ahead. Inhale, lower, exhale. Good, feel those glutes contract, posterior chain strengthening, so important for mums. Inhale and exhale. Good, feel those glutes. You got it, nice job. Lower yourself down, come up onto your feet. We're gonna go for a split squat. So we're gonna have our right leg forward and left leg back. Make sure you have a nice stable base here. So you're not on tram line, you're not on tightrope, you're on tram line. So core is engaged, rib cage over pelvis. Inhale here, lowering down, and then exhale, driving through that front foot, coming up to standing. Nice job. Inhale, we lower down, and exhale, lift. Find as much range of motion here as you can. Maybe you don't lower all the way down to the floor. Press through that front leg. If you want to hold on to weights here to make this more challenging, then go for it. Good, inhale, and exhale, lift. Keeping that core engaged the entire time, but keep breathing. So inhale, lower, exhale, drive through that front foot to come up to standing. You got it. I like to have a slight forward lean here so I can really prioritize that glute strengthening on this right side. Nice job. Now I'm gonna grab my weights. We have a kneeling curl and press. So grab some light to medium weights. We're gonna start with our right leg forward, left leg back. Half kneeling position, keeping that core really strong and engaged. Shoulders back and down. You're gonna curl the dumbbells up to the shoulders and then press overhead. As you press those dumbbells overhead, make sure you're not flaring your rib cage out. So keeping that rib cage stacked over the pelvis, not extending through the back. Nice and slow and controlled. Nice job, keeping those elbows tucked in as you go for your bicep curl. And then exhale, pressing overhead. Nice job. Slow it down if you can. Time under tension. Good job. Last rep coming up. And then we're going to go back to our hip thrust. Remember, if you want to add a weight for your hip thrust, then go for it. I'm going to bring one of my dumbbells with me. Upper mid back on the bench. Feet at hip distance. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale. Press down through the ground. Lift those hips. Feel those glutes contract. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Keeping the chin tucked. Gaze forward. So I am 8 weeks postpartum with my daughter Coco. And as mums, we do so much baby carrying, baby holding. If you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, we're in these hunched over positions. So really strengthening through the backside of the body is going to be so important in our recovery. Our glutes also are our overflow muscles to the pelvic floor. So strengthening those glutes is going to really help to also strengthen that pelvic floor. Good. Feel the glutes contract at the top. Nice job. And lower down. Okay, split squats. So back up onto your feet. Left leg forward this time. Right leg back. Remember what I said about the tram line. So nice wide, stable base here. Inhale to prepare. Exhale. And then we inhale, lower down. Exhale, driving through that front foot to come up to standing. You should feel that in that glute on the left side. Good, both hip bones shining forward and lift. Good, if you want to add in that slight forward lean so that we make this a bit more glute biased. And of course, if you want to hold weights for your split squats, go for it. Good, inhale, lower, exhale, lift. Last rep. And then we're gonna come to our kneeling curl and press again. So lower that knee down to the floor. Left leg is gonna be forward. Grab your weights. And exactly the same thing. So rib cage over pelvis, roll those shoulders back and down. And then we go for our curl and press overhead. So again, just a reminder to be mindful of those ribs. Make sure that you're not flaring your rib cage out and arching through your back, keeping those bottom ribs locked in and down, core is turned on and strong. Working those strong arms and shoulders for all that overhead pressing and reaching that we do as mums. Lower with control, nice job. Last rep here, and then we're gonna move on to a new set of exercises. So bringing your dumbbells with you, you're gonna stand up onto 2 feet. Feet are gonna be underneath those hips. Again, roll those shoulders up, back and down. Exhale to engage that core. And then from here, we're gonna come into a hinge. So you're gonna send your bum straight back behind you, nice neutral spine here, lowering the dumbbells down to about mid-shin, and then press down through the ground to come up to standing. This is an RDL. So inhale, lower, and then exhale. Contract the glutes to come up to standing. Feel the length in the glutes and the back side of the body, and then contract as you stand. Keeping that nice neutral spine, core is engaged. And then same thing at the top. Try not to shove the hips forward, arching through the back. So stop when the rib cage and the pelvis are aligned. Nice job. Okay, we're gonna work some back strength now. So I'm gonna have one weight in my right hand, and I'm gonna use my left hand on some kind of surface here, or you can be up on your knee like this. So for supported bent over row, we're gonna be nice and strong through our core, nice neutral spine. Inhale, lower down, and then exhale, row that dumbbell up towards the body. Contracting the lat muscle at the back. Inhale, lower, good. And exhale, we pull. Holding that top position for just a second or two. Feel the lat muscle contract. And then inhale, lower to release. Good, lower down. Working that back of the body again. Also so important for mums to have strong back muscles. Last one. Nice job. Place that dumbbell down. We're gonna come into that same sideline position that we saw in the warm-up. Starting on the right side, so elbow underneath the shoulder, top hip stacked over bottom hip. You can stay with the side planks that we did in the beginning, or if you want to, you can add in a little lift of that top leg, working a little bit more of the glute med. Inhale, lower down, exhale, lift pelvic floor, wrapping that deep core, pressing down through that bottom knee, lift that top leg. Option to lift the top leg. If you just want to stay here with those side planks, that's also an option. Feeling that oblique working underneath the body. Good, exhale as you lift, and then inhale, lower with control. Nice job, we're here for just 15 more seconds. Good, inhale, lower. You should feel the glute med on the underside and the top side working. Nice job, lower down. We're gonna come back onto our feet for our RDLs. So I'm gonna grab one weight in each hand here. Feet underneath those hips, rolling those shoulders back and down. Inhale to prepare, exhale. Wrapping that deep core. And then we inhale, lower down, push the ground away to come up to standing. So as you send the bum back, imagine that you're closing a car door with your bum straight back behind you. Feel that length in the muscles, and then contract the muscles up to standing. Good, nice neutral spine. Nice job. Last one here. And then we're gonna come into our row on the left side this time. So we need just one dumbbell in the left hand, and we're gonna have the right hand supported either on your knee or on an elevated surface. Right leg forward. Nice neutral spine here. Core is turned on. Inhale to start, exhale to row. Inhale, lower down. And we row that dumbbell in towards the body. Good, think about pulling the shoulder blade back and then the arm. Row that dumbbell in, inhale, lower, all the way down, and then we row. Nice job. Again, nice stable base with the rest of the body so that we're not having to worry about our balance. Give yourself a strong base with those legs. Last one here. And then we're gonna come into our side plank with abduction on the left side. So carefully lowering yourself to the floor, get your alignment set up. Inhale to prepare, and then exhale, pressing down through that bottom knee. Really nice. Inhale, everything releases. So option to lift that top leg. If it feels too much, then skip that for now. And just stay with those side bridges. We're here for 30 more seconds. Good, both hip bones shining straight forward, and then really driving down through that bottom leg. Feel that side body working. Nice job. And last one here, lower yourself down. Nice job. We're gonna come into sumo squats next. Option to do this with or without a weight. I'm gonna do round one without a weight. We're gonna have a nice wide stance with our legs. Inhale to prepare, exhale, zipping up from pubic bone to belly button, and then inhale, lower your hips back and down, and then driving through all four corners of the feet, come up to standing. Nice job. Slight forward lean here so that we can really target those glutes and stand. Nice. Inhale, lower, working a little bit more adductors here with that wider stance. So core is turned on, and then we're gonna keep breathing. Finding, again, as much range of motion that works for you. Don't have to go all the way down. Press the ground away up to standing. Nice and slow as you lower. And then accelerate, big press. Nice job. Okay, we're gonna come down onto the floor. We have a modified dead bug. So, on your back, inhale to prepare, exhale to set that core. Level one is gonna be just marching with those legs. Level two is gonna be picking both feet off of the floor and then tapping your heel down onto the floor. So you're either at marches with both feet on the floor or elevated feet, heel taps. Wherever you're at, making sure that the two hip bones are hugging in towards each other. Try not to overly lift your back off of the floor, maintaining that nice neutral spine. Good, keep breathing. If you're straining or holding your breath, it's a sign that maybe you need to modify the exercise. Lifting two feet off the floor is an advanced exercise postpartum, so just be mindful of that and choose the variation that works for you. Nice job, Mama. Lower down, and then we're gonna roll over into an all fours position. So wrists underneath the shoulders, knees under those hips. Tuck the toes. You're gonna inhale here, exhale, lift pelvic floor. As you exhale, you're gonna press down through the ground, lift your knees off the floor an inch or two, keeping that nice flat back. Inhale, lower down, exhale to lift. Now you can either just tap the floor and lift straight back up, holding that core contraction the entire time, or you can rest at the bottom, reset. So whatever works for you here. You can hold your core and then just go for those knee taps. Hold your bear hold for a second or two and lower down. Wherever you're at, you've got 15 seconds. Make sure those shoulders are over the wrists. And keep breathing, you've got it. Nice job, last one here, awesome work. Okay, sumo squats. I'm gonna do this with a weight this time. Round one, kind of a practice round. I know what I'm doing now, and I feel like I can challenge myself by adding a weight. So inhale to prepare, exhale. And then we're gonna lower down, inhale, and exhale, stand. I like to have that nice forward lean through the body so I can really prioritize lengthening through those glutes, contract the glutes. Nice job, you got it. Good, exhaling through pursed lips. Come up to standing, 20 seconds. Remember, body weight or with a weight. Nice job, last one. And then we're gonna come down to the floor. We have our dead bugs, finding the variation here that works for you. Lowering onto your side first, and then onto your back to protect that core as it's healing. Nice neutral spine here, level pelvis, inhale, exhale. Picking up both feet or keeping both feet on the floor, tap. Nice job, really thinking about hugging your two hip bones in, strengthening that TVA, that deep torso muscle. And remember, if it feels too much, feet on the floor, lifting the legs, trying not to shift through the pelvis at all. Nice job, 10 seconds. Keep breathing. Keep wrapping and hugging that core in. Last one. And then we're gonna finish with our bear hold, knee tap. So rolling over onto your front all fours position. Get yourself set up, perfect alignment, tuck those toes. Inhale to prepare, exhale. Hugging in that core. And then exhale, lift those knees. Inhale, lower, exhale. Good, we're here for just 35 more seconds, and then you are done with your workout for today. Good, keep hugging in that core, nice job. You got 15 seconds here. Challenging yourself, come on, everything should be shaking. 3, 2, 1, and down and release, nice job. Awesome effort. We're gonna finish with a little cool down and a little pelvic floor release. So we did a lot of pelvic floor strengthening. So we have to match that always with our lengthening. That's how we keep a nice mobile, flexible pelvic floor that's gonna function really well. So we're gonna come into a figure 4 stretch. So I'm gonna bring my right ankle over the top of my left knee. If you want to, you can walk that left foot in closer for more of a stretch and drive that right knee further away from you. And you should feel that really nice stretch on the outside of the right hip. Now, option to stay here if that feels enough, or you can come into a seated pigeon. And again, feel how that intensifies the stretch on this side. And then we're just gonna breathe here. Big inhales into that rib cage, exhale. Letting everything go. No contraction with your exhale anymore, just releasing tension. The pelvic floor lengthens with your inhale as air gently pushes down on the pelvic floor when you inhale. And then as you exhale, the pelvic floor is just gonna recoil. You can kind of think of the pelvic floor like an elastic band. So when you stretch an elastic band, it's got tension on it, it's lengthening the band. And then as you let go, everything just recoils. So with your inhale, as you expand with air, the pelvic floor is lengthening. And then exhale, just release. Nice job. We're gonna switch over to the other side. So figure 4 stretch on the left side. And option to stay here, of course. Stretch it out for a little bit longer. And then if you want to, we're gonna come into that seated pigeon on this side. Sitting up really nice and tall through the crown of the head, expanding those ribs, and then passively exhale, let all of that air go. Awesome job. I'm going to leave you here. Thank you so much for joining me for that core and pelvic floor strength workout and joining me on my own postpartum recovery. I'm so honored to do these workouts with you, and I'll see you in our next one. Mwah. Bye, mama. If you enjoyed that core and pelvic floor strengthening workout and you're looking for more guidance on how you can heal and reconnect to your core and pelvic floor after having your baby, you can join my 6-week rehab program inside the Momday app or my 8-week postpartum strength program. All of these workouts are designed specifically for postpartum moms to rebuild their strength and confidence in their postpartum body. I would love to move with you some more, so I'll leave the link down below.